Yes, here we go. It is a wee episode of Ask the Bus this Tuesday night. It is 19th of August now. Champions League qualifier getting awfully close tomorrow night. We're at home. And yeah, not a lot to report in the incomings. It looks like Celtic have decided to take a gamble going into the Champions League qualifiers, and that gamble is to not strengthen the first team any further in the last. I think that's nearly 3 weeks without a signing. Is it 3 weeks? Could be something like that. It's on them now what they do. There's an argument, and it's an argument I do actually understand. I'm fucking looking at myself on this camera, man. Look at the size of that spot there, man. Jeez. Anyway, yeah, there is an argument right now that is, is there really any excuse for Celtic not to get the job done against Kyra? I mean, is it really? Is this an opposition that Celtic don't have the tools at their disposal already to have enough to get past them? I think that's a fair argument as well. But the point should always be you give a manager the maximum amount of artillery, the maximum amount of weaponry to go to battle for games of such seismic proportions for Celtic. And this game is absolutely fucking massive. Make no two ways about it, guys. When we're playing against anyone for a Champions League qualifier, you tool up for that. You don't hope and pray for a lucky draw and then base your signing policy on who you draw. So my hunch is, had we drawn, I don't even know who else is in it, Club Bruges, let's say that, for example. I wonder if they'd been more receptive to Brendan's sort of angling for a new player because they would know they're in a live one. And I wonder if there's a wee bit of arrogance and complacency towards the draw that's been made that plays a part in the lack of activity. But notwithstanding that, also, I wonder if there's a lot of, we just, just hedge our bets till we see if we've made it, and then, we only budget for Europa League, so it'd be a bonus for the Champions League. All this is so frustrating, if true. I think they'd find an excuse no matter what. I think we could win the Champions League and we'd be the first Champions League side to not sign a player the following summer that led after it. It wouldn't surprise me either. It'd surprise me more as winning it, of course. But the point I'm trying to make is they always find a reason and a narrative. And I just wonder, when we go into this game, if I do again agree with the fact we've got more than enough to be able to overcome the side we're against, albeit I don't know much about them. But you'd like to think Celtic, the players that we've got, the amount of time a lot of them have been together, the manager that we've got, that we will have enough to overcome our opposition. You don't leave anything to chance that you try and influence the outcome before as much as you possibly can. And that would have been a stronger recruitment drive this summer window, I'm afraid, for the first team. It just would have been. And to sit and kid on that if we do get through, and we're favourites to get through, and I'm not panicking that we won't or anything like that, but if we do get through, what sickens me is the patting on the back that I envisage them doing. I mean, I could be wrong, but I envisage them all. Oh, fucking, hey, told you. Hey, fuck all to worry about. There's now £35 million in the coffers. Hey, let's give Brendan a tenner. That sort of vibe, you can't help but feel it'll be. I'm going to bring the comments onto the stream as well, so I can catch up a wee bit easier with them rather than me glancing to the right, because I can see the chat is lively. And yeah, there's Stephen. He says Basel, Sturm Graz were the two most difficult teams. So there you go, Stephen. I mean, do you think that's played a part then, mate? And I'd like your reply on this, if you don't mind. Do you think that they've looked at the potential opponents and they've decided that we've got enough to get past whoever it is that we draw in the playoff round stage? So we will hedge our bets on, making sure that we qualify, and then spending a portion of a fraction, a portion, a percentage, a small one of the Champions League bounty that we get, with all the rest of it just getting banked I mean, I wonder if that has played a part. Um, I just don't think this is how world class operators work. And I've got to doff my cap to the journalist. I'm not sure if he was fan media. He sounded quite young. I don't know if you have seen Brendan's presser today. But there was a fantastic question put in by either a would-be journalist, a fan media guy. I really don't know who it was. I don't know who he was representing. But yeah, he said, 2 years ago I watched you sat beside, I'm paraphrasing, by the way, just disclaimer. He said, 2 years ago I watched you, watched you sit beside Michael Nicholson as he described Celtic wanting to be world class in everything that they do. He says, Brendan, could you describe this transfer window as Celtic operating world class? I thought that was a fantastic question. It put Brendan on the spot. Do I have a sort of a bit of sympathy for the manager when I look at him having to field these tricky questions and it not being Michael Nicholson who has to, have his own words thrown at him, not Brendan? Of course I feel like that. Of course that makes total sense that would be preferable. But these guys hide away in their ivory tower. They'll not be out to play anytime soon. They might come out to play at the end of the window if we've qualified for the Champions League and they've signed a couple of players with that money. They might come out then, smugly. They might do that. But back to the question that was put on Brendan, and he couldn't bring himself to say it's been a world-class window. Of course he couldn't. So he was on the spot, and whilst he's trying to play this game of, he's almost... The manager's, he's reminding you, he actually said it earlier on in the presser, he's reminding you that I don't want to, be creating tension in the group by reacting negatively to what's going on off the park. I feel the noise, I can hear the atmosphere is building outside, with the off the ball stuff. But I don't want to be, fueling that fire, if you like, is what he was trying to get at. But he couldn't also bring himself to just lie to the guy's face and say, yeah, it's been world class so far. Michael was right back then. And I'm seeing these world class developments, including this window. Of course he couldn't. So he had to kind of sit pensively for a wee moment, thinking, what the fuck? And he says, he was like, world class. I couldn't say it's been world class, but and then he's got to go into his butt, and right now the manager's in a situation right now where he's trying to say everything to everyone, and that never works, by the way. But this isn't on him either. But he's trying to appease everyone. He's trying to continually back the that he's on support of the Celtic model. He spoke about players still get paid every month, and that money will come from Celtic, and they're still paying your wages and stuff. Fanciful stuff to be having to explain that a football club pays its player wages. That's to tick the box of the board. Then, of course, to not accept that it's been a world-class window is to try and show the fans that he's on side of them. But when you're trying to say everything to everyone in life, it never works. I've never been capable of that anyway, so I wouldn't know much about it. But I always feel that when you're trying to do that, that it just doesn't quite work. And you end up in a halfway house. And I just fear that there could be, if there is, to heaven forbid, a bad result tomorrow, or a damaging draw, or something like that, that keep the nerves, really on, high alert, then I worry that he's going to get accused of being wishy-washy and not pushing the narrative enough that he needed new players, and he's now reaping what he sows for not being an assertive enough manager, not calling them out in the media. But yeah, I think that's interesting. Stephen, thanks for getting back to me. He says, the minute Celtic became seeded, I believe our transfer strategy was set. So yeah, once we found out we were going to be the seeded club, that would have changed their thinking. Again, all this is bollocks. It makes no difference to what our strategy is, because we're trying to be a better version of Celtic next year, no matter what the law of the land looks like. We're going to do everything we can to be a better version of Celtic. Now, what's been interesting as well, watching the interview, is he's having to field questions about Jamie Vardy. Now, Jamie Vardy has been actually unbelievable in his career. Unbelievable. Last season, I think he got 9 Premier League goals, albeit it was in 35 games, but he was 38 years old. He's 39 in January, right? He didn't actually quash that rumour as much as what he kind of quashed the Odds and Edward one, for example. No, it wasn't. He praised, the work that he did with Jamie, but he gave a new phrase. Now, obviously, the law is in manager speak, of course, is that I refuse to speak about another club's player. So he had to kind of twist those words and sort of jumble them up a wee bit. Say, "Oh, yeah, I would never sit here and talk about a player not attached to a club." Why? I get the prerequisite when it comes to another club's player. I don't quite buy that waffle when he's a free agent. You can say what you want, really. Probably worried that they'll overprice him. They'll put the wages demands up. Who knows? I mean, that rumor with Vardy, if it were to be true, leads you to the first part of the tagline for tonight's show, and that's transfer strategy with a question mark. I mean, if Jamie Vardy were to join, do I think he would score a few goals for Celtic? Yeah, I do. Do I think he'd be prolific? Forrest is such an issue at 33 years old right now because we can't rely on an old aging player. Do I think the narrative around a 38-year-old coming on and saving the day one game, albeit it'd be a positive news story, you would think? I think that would all be turned into where the fuck are we right now when we're relying on Papa Vardy to come on and score last minute goals for us. It would just be a disaster in terms of all that sort of narrative. And it would really highlight a transfer strategy that doesn't exist, guys. There isn't one. There is a list of players that get put forward that are in a bracket of transfer fee akin to the 90s that are young potentials. And I think they try and push forward those as much as they can. My guess is there's been a few resisted this summer by Brendan. When it comes to anyone to improve the first team, it is fucking absolute luck on its old pals. Jota, KT. The only way we're getting top draw players, in Kieran Tina's case, I'll go as far as saying I think he's a world class fullback. I don't care what anyone else says. That's just my take on it. Jota, far too good for the Scottish League. But you get these guys because they've already got that Celtic connection. In terms of imagination of bringing in first team players, in terms of strategy for bringing in first team players, I'm sorry, I don't think there is one. I don't see that Celtic have one for that. And the signing of Vardy would be absolutely laughable when it comes to being world class in everything that we do. When it comes to player trading model pish that they come out with AGM as another occasion they can pat themselves in the back. All that stuff would be utterly ridiculed by that one signing for a few reasons. His age, of course, would be the talking point massively. I mean, how does that progress Celtic in the long run? It doesn't. It's just an instant impact. But then you look at the timing of it and go, he's been a free agent since fucking June. Why are you bringing him after the first Champions League qualifier? All that is so important because that's what highlights there is no strategy. It's utterly bizarre. And I think, Stephen, I'm picking on you tonight, mate. I think you're absolutely right. If we were to sign Vardy, it's because Brendan doesn't trust the names on the list to do the job required. I don't think he's wrong there. I don't think he's wrong. I think Stephen's spot on. And I think San Fran Celtic, you're right. He would fall into the Casper bracket. It shouldn't work, but it did. And again, that laughs in the face then, San Fran. And I know you're very, very positive in a lot of your views when it comes to how Celtic operate and things like that. And I think that's fair enough, and it's always good debate, mate. But I think when you look at, if that was to be, honestly, I was going up for, I don't know, being out of the Champions League, in the Champions League, who knows, but doing it after the first playoff round has been played, signing Jamie Vardy on a free. You just can't sit back and say that strategy that Celtic made says it's baffling, Boycie, mate. You're spot on. You're almost lost for words when you think about stuff like that. And it's not a criticism of Vardy, who I was quite quick to say there at the top of this spiel, that he I think it's an amazing career. Like, he's done amazing. But, from a Celtic prism, if that is the option, you should have gotten 2 months ago. If he's the best, as Stephen Ray suggests, of a list that's been presented to Brendan, you've got a real problem on your hands. And if you still haven't been able to get until after your first qualifier, then there is no strategy. You are taking the piss. These things can frustrate us. We've also got a game of football to focus on as well. Celtic, for me, really, really did click into gear against Falkirk. And I think that's the positive that I'm really going into the fixture with, is I thought we were comfortable against Aberdeen, never felt we were going to lose the game, didn't feel we went through the gears as much in that game. Yet against Falkirk, we started in sort of third to fourth gear, ramped it up to fifth by half time. I know we're only 1-0, but you felt like there was a lot of rock and roll football getting played there. We looked very threatening. We looked like the intensity had went up a few notches from the first couple of league games, and it felt to me like the first team, that sort of rustiness is kind of now being brushed off and we're getting into full flow. That fills me with confidence for the fixture ahead. Fills me with confidence for it. But, of course, it should be supplemented with added quality as well. And yeah, this is what I was saying as well, San Fran, at the top of the show. We're playing a team in the playoffs that's hundreds of spots below in the rig, so there's no excuses. I was saying the no excuses part. And I accept that as well. I do accept that. But you need to remember, this is what Brendan's trying to quash right now, and he actually admits it, in his own words. He's trying to keep that negative energy away. He's trying to not let a negative narrative spread throughout because it can affect the team as well. If he's out there bitching, whining, moaning about the transfers and we have a poor performance, that could be seen as, well, let that seep into the first team, that no one's happy, the fans aren't happy, the manager's not happy, and then you get a performance like that. But of course, I've flipped it already. I mean, you flip it, you look at it from the other prism. If we were to get a negative result tomorrow night, a defeat or a draw, or even just a poor performance, a scrappy 1-0 win, I think there could be a lot of accusations put the manager he's not being assertive enough. So he can't win. And he's having to fight all these fires on his own right now. He's the only one asked about this, when it's quite clear that the transfer recruitment obstacles that are there involve many other men at Celtic other than the manager. But because he has to go in front of the camera for his media duties, he's the one in the firing line for all these questions. And whatever his answer will be, and whatever tone or narrative he wants to take with it, it's going to be used against him when we hit an iceberg. Let's hope that's not Wednesday. I'm relatively confident it won't be, but let's hope it's not. But whenever the iceberg does get hit, what will happen is his words will be cut, pasted, twisted, and he'll need to deal with that. He will need to deal with that again and come out explaining questions he's made, trying then at the same time, no doubt, to say everything to everyone and keeping the board on side and keeping the fans on side and all this pish. And I do think it's quite unfair that a club like Celtic, world-class Celtic, remember, don't speak out more and I've said this last time I was on, you see other chief execs in front of the camera, you see them rolled into radio stations, you see them doing just club channel interviews. We don't see anything from these guys, and the reason is they don't want exposed. They don't want their transfer strategy exposed, albeit if we were to sign Jamie Vardy, the jobs are good, and guys, your transfer strategy, if you want to call it that, is exposed to being exactly what I think it is, and that is the emperor's new clothes of a strategy. It's as simple as that. Let's get into the comments. Danny McIntosh, he says getting Vardy on a free is a no-brainer. And do you know what, Danny? See if it is a no-brainer. No reason why he shouldn't have been signed 6 weeks ago, pal. No reason why he shouldn't be signed. Do I think he would get goals? 38 and a half right now, 39 in January. I do still think he'll get goals, but don't think it's the Jamie Vardy that you've been accustomed to watching in the Premier League that will be joining. And I don't think he'll be starting a lot of games. It could go the other way as well, as Patman67 rightfully points out as well. And it's good to have balance on it. And cheers for watching, Patman. And he says, Vardy could turn out another Ian Wright or Roy Keane, where it was another chapter too far. The book should have closed. Who knows? It's interesting to me that you would get that split already before he's joined. And as I say, the timing of it, I just think if it were to happen, would be laughable. Albeit, I think it is noteworthy that the manager shut down the Odsonne Edouard rumour a lot more than I think he shut down the Vardy one today. That was just my thoughts on it. Where are we all at on the game then? Let's see what everyone else is saying here in the chat. I do want to get your comments up. Jim Dolan, I honestly think the Lowland Court trying to drive Rodgers out the door with a lack of transfers. You got to be careful saying that, Jim. You get accused of being a conspiracy theorist for saying these things, as if anyone would do that. Well, I happen to think when Rodgers leaves at the end of the season, I say the word when now, when he leaves, albeit we don't have a crystal ball, know how January window will go, and we don't know how the rest of this one will either. But I think it'd be fair to say the summer he was back too late, and that was last summer. And even then, I felt we would have got more than the 20 goals from Ida had he had the pre-season. We'd have got more from Arnie Engels, who was our Young Player of the Year, Scotland's Young Player of the Year, I think, as well. Was he? No, maybe not. Might have made that bit up. Arnie Engels, though, would have got more praise had he been in for pre-season as well. But I still think that'll get viewed as the best window. The first window was, the 9 in a row. Celtic's third 9 in a row. 9 signings in a row that weren't good enough. And then, of course, you've got the January window where Kyogo departed, Jota came in. We had and so did Jeffrey Schlupp. But yeah, our talisman left. I thought it was maybe the right time, but provided we had a replacement for him, we still don't, by the way. Not even James Vardy is included. Jamie Vardy even is actually in the door yet to replace Kyogo. So we've still not even replaced him 8 months on. You've got the January before that window where Adam Ida was signed on the last day of it. Games have been played. He's missed out in games that he could have played in even late January. He was brought in right at the death. And who else joined? Oh, Nicholas Kuhn, of course, joined, but he had issues that meant he didn't have much of a contribution either. Yeah, I think when you look at Brendan's windows, and the reason I'm saying this, Jim, is if the guys only had one good window and it was a window that was dealt with probably too late, considering we had the group stage guaranteed, we've just discussed earlier that if they base it on who you've got in playoff rounds, well, they never had that problem last summer or the summer before. Yet they made an absolute arse of the first window. Brendan again was trying to appease everyone and left in no man's land, taking on 9 players that he didn't fancy. Last summer he got what he wanted, albeit too little too late, and Celtic overpaid for Adam Ida as well. But I still think it was the most effective window, and we've seen that with the Champions League results. This window so far, on the back of 3 Champions League qualifications, boy oh boy, if ever Celtic were in a prime position to go, let's fucking deal with these qualifiers and put it beyond doubt. They were in it this year. They still don't do it. It's still not been a window to shout about. So does that sound like a board that really want Brendan Rodgers there? I don't think so. I don't think so either, mate. So that was my long-winded way of agreeing with you, I think. Yeah, Stephen, thanks for bringing this up. I thought Rodgers' comments on Inamura being not at the level and probably about 2 years from it. What a waste of time and effort with that signing. Well, I have to agree, mate. I listened to Rodgers talk about him at the press conference. I thought it was quite damning, his assessment, albeit refreshingly honest. And I love refreshing honesty for people. And it's damning that what he'd said initially about Inamura all came true. He went further, he said, look, he says, with all due respect, yeah, he sort of impressed, but we were playing against Queen's Park and Cork City. He says, he did go one extreme to the other. And I think he said if he was playing against Yamina Lamal, would have started him? No. But he did. He said the long and short of it is he's nowhere near good enough. I need defenders who can defend. And he's nowhere near good enough for that. Wow. I wonder what Inamura makes of that. And I don't know. That signing just reeks of... honestly, they're quick to get Asian deals done. And I'm sorry, guys, to say it, but I think a lot of the reason for that is the marketing prospects that come with signing guys for that market. I think Celtic will always be proactive for signing players from that corner of the world due to the sort of interest they'll garner, the keeping the Celtic name as big as possibly can be out there, keeping us relevant out there, and the following that they'll get from journalism, for journalists out there and newspaper coverage or online article coverage, media coverage, etc. I I think Celtic will always be proactive in that market, and when he doesn't look good enough, fuck it, just get him anyway. Do you know what I mean? Get some more eyes on Celtic from over there. Phil comes in. Great to have you on, Phil. And by the way, thanks again, mate, for all the artwork that you'll see on the current thumbnails. The Ask the Bus one, the TNF one, and of course the Boycie Brothers one. Really, really appreciate that, mate. And he's saying, seems Inamura can't play a minute before the transfer window closes, as it means he's played for 2 clubs in 2025. Then that means he wouldn't go out on loan, as FIFA only allows you to play for 2 clubs. Mental. Yeah, I mean, obviously in Rodgers' mind, the plan always was, Phil, to get him to go out on loan. It always was. We thought he looked good, but again, when he references the opposition he played against, he should be looking good. But one of those signings, as I say, I think isn't, whether he goes on loan or not. I don't think this is a player. File him under the Quan bracket. I don't think we'll see him kick a ball for Celtic. That's just my honest opinion. I think for Brendan to be that scathing about his ability tells me he's a million miles off it. And he's 23 right now. It's his first year of football. The whole thing just reeks of a good market employ for Celtic to keep themselves relevant out there in that coveted J-League market that they like to be some sort of big fishing for some unknown reason to me. Maybe because Uncle Ange managed there and it's great to be attached to him still. Fuck knows. But Sam Celtic says Inamura didn't put a foot wrong. I get that. But again, you've got to trust the manager judgment more than ours, mate. And it's very rare Brendan would speak like that about a player unless he is honking, mate. That's what I would say. And trust me, that was the impression I was getting. Monty comes in. Great to have you on the bus, Monty. I hope you're well, mate. I still get the odd message back and forth from Monty, so top man. And he says, when you think of all the silverware Brendan has brought in, the Champions League money's brought in, add to that the club regaining European credibility last season, then he gets this shit. It's incredible. Monty, I could not have said it better myself. You have just absolutely nailed it, mate. That's exactly it. That is exactly it. Managers should be getting rewarded for the success that they achieve at Celtic. Not brought down a peg. Not there to, well, we might let you replace the quality we sell, mate, and you'll be fucking grateful. That seems to be the attitude. Roger spoke about obviously wanting to evolve the club, not maintain it. Wants to, progress the club, not maintain it. He'll not be around just to maintain the status quo. And right now, by the way, let's have it right. We're 36 goal contribution Nicholas Kuhn down, and we're a talisman for 3.5 years down for January, still down in that first team. All right? So, with that in mind, that's not rewarding the manager for successes. Well done in the prize money. Winning the league, Brendan, automatic group stage qualification. If he navigates these qualifiers, well done winning the league last year and navigating the playoff, Brendan. Champions League qualification. Well done for the win bonuses we got against Bratislava, Young Boys Bern, whoever else it was. The money for drawing at Atlanta. The money for being in the last 24. Well done, Brendan. Nah. Here's a couple of guys for the Asian market because we're really proactive in that one. KT's back because he asked us to come back. We're still better about the wages we're paying him. Fuck knows, man. It's just so frustrating, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows what will happen tomorrow? I just hope that Celtic do what I think the team's capable of doing, and that'll be putting in a performance that gets us a solid lead to take to Kazakhstan. But we don't have a great record. Brendan described the 2-0 defeat out there as the best 2-0 defeat of his whole football career. We don't want to go there and lose 2-0 and it actually costs us. So let's get a proper lead tomorrow. We need to be in the front foot. We need to use that intensity we did for the Falkirk game for the first minute. We need to see that again. And I'm confident that we will. And I do hope that the atmosphere is where it is. As I see Celtic are still trying to sell tickets now for the game. Again, people can say, oh, it's the away end though that's just needing filled up. Those tickets should be gone. Nothing speaks louder than a customer base's feet in any business. Nothing speaks louder than the customer's feet. I've said that many times before. I can relate it to my previous business, customers' feet. You can relate it to even the podcast if you like. You look at the numbers. If the numbers are down, you're doing something wrong. If they were there before. Celtic have the numbers. Celtic have a 10,000 strong, if not more, waiting list for season books. How can they not fill the Champions League qualifier? Because there's disillusionment, if that's a word. Maybe just made that up. But disillusionment we're going to go for in the fan base right now. And that's why there's these tickets available. Right, I'm going to go. That's just been over half an hour. Thank you so much. We touched over 100 there live, and always grateful for everyone who watched the bus. Remember, do give us a wee like or a dislike. Makes no odds to me. Give us a wee share if you are so kind on your socials. That'd be massively appreciated to get the word out. Remember, if you've not hit subscribe, and if you have, hit that bell as the bus shows become more and more sporadic. I will be on after the show, after the match tomorrow night, because big occasion like that, I'm going to be watching it from the house anyway. All the podcasts do post-match shows. It's not to clash with anyone or any of that bollocks. I don't live in a world like that. I won't be doing post-match shows at the weekends and stuff like that very often. But tomorrow night, big game. Looking forward to be zoned in on it, laser focused, and of course there will be whatever type of narrative that Brendan's trying to quash. There's going to be a lot of narratives that come from the game, no matter what the result is. So I look forward to discussing all that with you tomorrow night. Maybe try and see if someone wants to come on with me. If not, just do it myself. That's all good. But yes, thanks again to everyone for watching. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'll see you all.